Greetings everyone, we will continue our discussion on object-oriented programming through C++. In the previous session, we have started about what are classes, objects and methods and how to implement these particular classes and objects by using access specifiers, and also we have looked about what is function overloading. In this session, we will be going for further topics about your object-oriented programming. So in this session, we will be first looking about what are nested classes. So I told you about what is a nested class in the last session. We will be building upon that particular thing, that is we will be looking at what are the parts present in your nested class, how to write program for your nested class, and we will be looking at another topic called as construct. If possible, we will be looking at the destructor as well. So we will be looking at what is a constructor and how to write program on constructors, what is the use of the constructor. Okay, all those things we will be seeing in this particular session. So first the nested class, I told you what is a nested class in the previous session itself. So nested class is one class which is declared in another class. That is, we will be writing one class inside the another class, and a nested class is a member and as such will be having same access right as any other member. As I told you in the previous session itself, so we will be having one class, for example class A, and we will be having another class, so class B. So writing like this, that is, we are going to enclose one class inside another class, we will be calling it as a nested class. So since you are writing class B inside class A, so the class B will be also treated as a member. So I think you know what are members, that is, we will be having your data and functions. Okay, since data and functions are called as members of your class, now since the class is written inside your particular class, now this particular class B will act as member of class A. Okay, class B will act as member of class A. So whatever the access rights, that is, if you are particularly specifying your class in public, okay, it will be acting as a public member. If you are specifying it as a private, we are going to treat it as a private member. If you are writing under protected, we are going to treat it as a protected member. So it will be having same rights as a member of your particular class. Okay. So how we are going to implement this thing, we will be seeing the next. The members of each enclosing class has no special access to the members of nested class. Okay. So the members, whatever you are going to write inside class B, they doesn't have any special access to your nested class. Okay. The usual access rules shall be obeyed as well. Along with that, if you are having class A, so if A is a private member, the private member will not be having same access right like your private member of your class A. So class B doesn't have any special access to directly access A. Okay. So since this is a private member, it will be treated as a private member to class A. So the class B cannot directly access your class A. Okay, class A members. So they will be having similar whatever access rights you have for a member. Okay. So we'll be seeing how it will be implemented with an example. So this is an example of your nested class. So first look at it. This is class A, and they have written public, that is, whatever the members that follow are public members. So your class B is a public member of class A. Remember, class B is public member of class A. So inside class B, whatever you have written, so since class B is written inside A, we will be calling it as a nested class. Okay. Class B contains private, that is, it is having one private member, that is, number is private member. Then it has written one public method. Inside the public method, we are going to write get data, num is equal to n. This is one public method. And you are having another public method, put data, the number is num. Okay. So class A doesn't have any other members, it has only one member, that is class B. Class A doesn't have any other member, it has only one member, that is class B. Apart from class B, it can have another members also, that is, it can have its own data, okay, it can have its own method separately. but here you are having only this particular class B as the member of class A. Okay, this will be calling it as nested class. How you are going to write program for this one? So if you see, so this class B will be closed here and you are going to close class A here. Next, if you go for main, the first step you have done is just you have printed nested classes in C++ as a heading, as output. Next, how you are going to create an object? So if you see here, if I want to create an object for B, so since B is outside the class A, that is you are trying to create an object and you are doing it outside the class, okay, that is why I have to specify where my B is present, that is where my class B is present. So I told you about how to implement your methods outside your classes by using scope resolution operator. In the similar manner, if you see here, A, so you are specifying the scope resolution operator B and then I am writing the object. If I write directly B object, okay, the compiler will not be able to identify where the particular class B is present. Okay, so in order to tell the compiler that the particular class B is present inside the class A, I have to use the scope resolution operator. So in this I can tell that the particular class B is present in class A. Okay, now I have created an object for class B. Okay, using that object I have called the first method object.getData. Object.getData of 9 means n will contain 9. So 9 will go into your number. NUM will contain this particular member has 9. Okay. Next I am calling object.putData. Object.putData, the number is NUM. NUM means the 9 will be printed. The number is 9 is printed. So this is how you will be implementing your nested classes. Okay. A brief review. If you are writing one class, inside the another class we will be calling it as nested classes. Okay. This classes doesn't have any other privileges. It will be just like a general member. Since it is a public member, it can be used outside the class. Okay. So this particular class can be having its own data and its own functions, just like a general class. But if I want to create an object for that particular class, I have to use the scope resolution operator. This is an example of your nested class. One more example you will be seeing about nested class. So this one is a similar one. First basic steps. Then I have written a class enclosing. Inside the class enclosing, I have written int x. As you could see, I have not written any public or private. Okay. When you are not writing anything here, that is, if you are not specifying the access specifier, that is, either you should be writing private or you should be writing it as public or you should be writing it as protected. So if you are not writing anything, by default it will take it as private. So since you have not written any access specifier for your class, so not so in the complete class, since you have not written anything, this will take by default as private. Okay, this will take by default as private. So since x is a private member here. Next I have written class nested, that is another nested class. Nested is present in enclosing. So inside that I have declared another variable y. Okay, now y also is a private variable. Since I have not specified anything, by default it will be having a private. So I have started the class here and I have closed the class here. So the nested class is here only. Inside the nested class I have just written y. Next, this void enclosing fun. This is a method. This is related to this function. This method is not related to nested. This function is related to enclosing. So inside the class I have used one pointer. You need not concern about the pointer. What you need to be concerned about is I am trying to print y. I am trying to print y. So y. So where is y? y is present in the private member of nested class. So since y is private member of nested class, this function cannot access this member. Okay, so this function cannot access this member. Why? Because y is a private in nested. So y can be accessed by only methods of your nested classes. Okay, y can be accessed by only methods. If you are writing any method inside the class nested, those methods can only access y. Okay, now if this particular function try to access y, it will not be allowed here. Okay, we will be getting a compile error. Y is private in nested. Why? Because as I told you in the part of access specifiers itself, so if you are having a private member, that particular private member can be accessed by only the particular methods of its own class only. Okay, the methods of its own class. Other methods and other classes cannot access the private members of a particular class. Even though this particular class is enclosed here, then also this particular variables cannot be accessed by methods of this class. Okay, so y is a private member to nested and it can be accessed by only methods of nested class. Okay, it cannot be accessed by outer class. Okay, the inner class will be having its own privileges, the outer class will be having its own privileges. Okay, so if I are having some public methods, public variables here, those public variables can be used here. So we will be having so many combinations in this manner. That is, whether you can use the public classes here, whether you can use the public methods here. All these things, there are many combinations. You have to refer the text for this. Okay, it is not possible to enumerate each and everything. That is, how you are going to access the public members of your outer class, how to access the public methods of your outer class, whether the public methods can access the public methods of your inner class. Like this, we will be having many combinations. But for the timing, just know that, so your inner class will be acting like a member of this particular class, and if there are private members of this particular class, it cannot be accessed by any methods of outer classes as well. So this is nested classes. The nested classes is about writing one class inside the another class and trying to access the thing. So I told you what is the importance of having nesting. So if you are having nesting, we will be able to provide multiple levels of security. Okay, so if you are having this as public, that is, if you are X as public, it can be accessed by other class members. But if you are taking Y, that is, if you are having a nesting and if you are having Y here, okay, this Y cannot be accessed by other members so easily. So we can be providing multiple levels of security by using nested classes. Okay, this will be what is the advantages of your having nested classes. Okay. The next thing you need to know is what is a constructor. So this is an important topic regarding your second unit. So the first part is basically about, so your second unit is about two parts. One is knowing what are objects, classes, methods and nested classes. The second part is about knowing what are constructors and destructors. So the constructors part, so the constructors are special class functions. Remember, this will be present inside the class only. Okay, they can be written outside the class, but these are special class functions which performs initialization of every object. Initialization of every object. So what you have to basically understand here is, whenever you create an object, that is, you will be writing one, if you are having class test, and inside the main you will be creating objects directly. Okay, so far you have not written any constructor in your C++ program, but by default, whenever you write an object, one constructor will be called. Okay, I think you know when you will be using the word called. You will be using the word called whenever you are implying functions. Okay, so that function will be calling it as constructor. We will be seeing how to write the constructor, how the constructor will be present. But you have to know that a constructor is a special class function that will be performing the initialization of every object. So each and every object will be having an associated constructor. Okay, each and every object will be having an associated constructor. That constructor will initialize these objects. Initialize means give the values to the object. So as I told you, your class doesn't have any memory, your objects will be having memory. So inside that memory, what values you have to give, that will be calling it as initialization. That initialization will be done by your constructor. So you need not be concerned about too much complexity here. Just know that a class is a special class function, a constructor is a special class function that will be initializing your object, that will be starting your object like that. Okay, the compiler calls the constructor whenever an object is created. Okay, basically as I told you, it will be starting your object. So the compiler will call the constructor will be present inside the class. Okay, this particular compiler will call this constructor whenever an object is created. The constructor initializes values to object members after storage is allocated to the object. So as I told you, whenever you create an object, the object will be given some memory. So inside that memory, what are the values you have to give, that will be calling it as initialization. That initialization will be done by your constructor. Okay, this is the thing about constructor. We'll be seeing examples. So first example is about what is a constructor here. So this is a class. Inside the class you are having public. This is a public variable x. This part will be calling it as a constructor. So the main important thing you need to know about the constructor is it will be having the same name as your class name. Okay, the first thing you have to remember about the constructor is the constructor will be having same name as your class name. Okay, that is why we'll be calling it as a special class function. Okay, special class function. Why? Because the constructors will be having the same name as the class name, and it is also a method or function with some thing, that is, this particular thing can contain object initialization steps. That is, what are the values which has to go into the object, those things can be written here. Okay, so this is how your constructor will be present. Okay, so the constructor is nothing but a special class function which is having same name as your class name, and it will be initializing your object. This is a sample example. So when defining your constructor, you must remember that the name of your constructor will be same as the name of your class. So the first step you have to remember, that is, when you are defining a constructor, that is, so far you have not written any constructors. Now when you start defining your constructors, the first thing you have to remember is the constructor name will be same as your class name. So constructor will never have a return type. So general functions or general methods will be having return types like int, float, but this particular functions doesn't have any return type. If you see properly, so you haven't written any return type here. It will be just the name of the function and with your braces of a function. Okay, it will not be having any return type. Remember that. So what is the basic difference between a general function and a constructor? Means general function will be having any name. Okay, a constructor will be having the name as your class. Okay, the general function will be having return type. Okay, the constructor doesn't have any return type. Return type means you'll be writing here int. Okay, some name of int comma int. So the starting thing, what we'll be calling it as a return type. So your constructor doesn't have any return type. This is about your constructor. So some more things regarding your constructor. Constructor can be defined either inside the class definition or outside the class definition by using your scope resolution operator. So you can define inside the class, that is, as I told you in the previous thing, you can write the class A and you can have the public, and you can define inside the class itself. Okay, inside the class you can define your particular constructor. So this is one step. This is inside declaration. Or you can define your constructor outside the class. So to define the constructor outside the class, first you have to declare the constructor. That is, you have to tell that there is a constructor here, and then you can define the constructor outside the class by using your scope resolution operator. So I am going to tell A, that is the class name, then I am going to specify the scope resolution operator, after that the constructor name. Then I have initialized I value as 1 here. Okay, that is a simple step. But you have to know that you can define your particular constructor inside the class, or you can define the constructor outside the class by using your scope resolution operator. These are just options for you. How you are going to use it is up to your programming knowledge here. Okay, all these things, whatever you see as a part of programming, are just options for you. Whether you want to implement your particular constructor inside the class, or whether you want to implement your constructor outside the class, that is up to you. Okay, so the next thing is regarding your constructor. This is the same thing. You have to define inside the constructor or outside the class. So you are going to have three types of constructors: one default constructor, parameterized constructor, and copy constructors. In this session, we will be looking at the default constructor. We will be looking at the remaining two in the next session. So what is a default constructor? A default constructor is a constructor which doesn't take any arguments. So any arguments means, as you have seen now, you are writing just the class A. Inside the class A, so you have written a constructor like this. You need not concerned about, what you are doing here. So just concerned about you are writing a class name, same name as your class name. This is the constructor. So inside the constructor, you are not writing any parameters here or any arguments. Whenever you doesn't specify any arguments, we will be calling it as a default constructor. So whenever you specify, that is, if I write int x comma int y, okay, so this is another constructor. If I write int x comma int y to do two different arguments, then we will be calling it as a parameterized constructor. So as I told you, there will be three types. One will be calling it as default constructor, another one will be calling it as parameterized constructor. When you don't specify your arguments here, we will be calling it as default constructor. When you specify the arguments, we will be calling it as parameterized constructor. That is, you are specifying the parameters, calling it as parameterized constructor. So an example for your default constructor is this one. So I have taken a class cube. Inside the class cube, I have taken them as public members. Next, I have declared one side, that is, side is one public variable. Next, I have defined one constructor. So I think you remember the difference between your constructor and other functions. So constructor will be having same name as your class. So inside that, I have written something like this: side is equals to 10 value. So this is object initialization. That is, I am just initializing the side value as 10. We need not concern too much about this thing also. Just know that it is having same name as your class, and you are not specifying anything inside your function arguments. That is, you are not specifying any parameters. That is why we will be calling it as default constructor. So next we have written main cube C. So when I write something like this, cube C, so now we are creating one object here. Okay, whenever I create an object, by default it will call the particular constructor. So there is nothing you need to do. Just once you create an object, by default it will call this function and it will execute side is equal to 10. So now it will print, that is, c dot side means it will be printing it as 10 value. Okay, what happens if you don't write the constructor? Here you have written the constructor and gave side is equals to 10. That is why it will print it as 10 value. So what is the meaning you have to understand is, you have to write the constructor. When you write the constructor and when you create an object, So the object directly calls your function, okay, that is the constructor function. Okay, when it calls this particular function, you will be getting the value into the side. So when I print c.side, it will be giving you 10 value. What happens if you don't write the constructor? That is default constructor. So say a simple point before seeing that a default constructor is so important for initialization of object members that even if you don't define a constructor explicitly, the compiler will provide default constructor implicitly. What is the meaning of this thing? So if I don't write this particular constructor, so remember that I have not written this code. So what is the thing I am doing? I am writing class Q public int side. Next I have taken the object C object. Now since you have not written anything, what the compiler does is it will default have one constructor written automatically. You need not write the thing, it will be defaulted and it will be written automatically. But you have not specified the value, that is the default constructor doesn't have any value. So when I create an object like this C, so C will be object, C will be having the side and it will be having some random value. Okay, it will be having some random value. So if I print c.side, we will be getting some random value or 0. You will not be getting 10 value. So if I want to give proper initialization, then I have to write the constructor. Even if you forget the constructor, it will be creating a particular default constructor, and particular default constructor will give random 0 value into your side. So that is about your default constructor. If you see the example here, so here whatever I have written in the previous thing, so you will be having the class, but you have not written any constructor. If I try to print the side, I will be getting 0 value or random value. So this is regarding your default constructor. So in the next session, we will be looking at what is the parameterized constructor and how to write the parameterized constructors and how you can overload the constructor. That is, I told you about the function overloading in the previous session. That is, you can be having more than one constructor, that is, you can be overloading them, and what is copy constructor. We will be looking at all these things in the next session. In this session, we will be just looking at what is your constructor and what are your particular function overloading as well as your nested class. We will be looking at the remaining things in the next session. Thank you.